this week's edition of One Big Thing. Kurt Goulding here, and today's one big thing is soybeans. Yeah, wow. Lots have been going on in the world these past 2 weeks, and markets, and oh my. So let's talk about soybeans and what's been going on in there. And if we take a look back over our shoulder and look at what's been going on, June 6, 2022, November 2024 soybeans peaked at $17.93 a bushel. Oh, almost $8 ago. This morning, they opened up into a new contract low of $10.10. Oh my goodness. So what's driving this? Well, let's look at a couple of things. First of all, there's really poor demand coming out of China. Their hog numbers, they're down 6%. Their economy is on the brink of implosion. Their commercial real estate and residential real estate is so overbuilt, and defaults are going on, and so the government's thinking, okay, let's just lower interest rates to try and attract some buyers. Well, they have housing, over 1 million housing units that aren't occupied. They're also starting to increase their domestic manufacturing that there's no demand for domestically, so they're dumping it into the global marketplace. Okay, cool. Except the West has put all kinds of tariffs on anything Chinese. So we've got a bit of a trade war going on there. And then also look at Brazil. They're expanding their production, and China's moving towards buying more Brazilian than US. The US has had some judicial rulings that could impact this whole biodiesel market. Now you got to keep in mind that the only reason the biodiesel market exists is due to the massive subsidies. And the big risk here is, after that ruling, there could be massive changes. If we have a change in leadership here in the US, we got a $35 trillion deficit. We've got to cut spending. And we can do just fine if we drill, baby, drill, and cut the subsidies that we've got going on in biofuels and just about everywhere. Let the free market run. Okay, also, let's talk about the weather. Yeah, it's hot, but guess what? It's July. And 15 July to 15 August, that's our hottest time of the year. But even with the heat, it comes in short spurts, and then comes rain, moderating temperatures, heating back up. Almost ideal for growing corn and soybeans. And we're actually seeing the crop conditions improve at a time of the year that they should be declining. And as I drive around, and I don't get everywhere and see a lot, but here in the West, between what I've personally seen and what friends have reported to me, we got a dandy crop here in the US. Now, the government's going to come out with a new report next week on taking a look after going out into the field and making estimates about the record or the yields, and moving from just the trend yield that they had been using. So hang on. We got people talking about record yields for both corn and soybeans, and so we could be looking at a lot of corn and beans here. Now we also have massive record shorts, particularly in corn, by the funds, and they've got a big short in the soybeans. And any dead cat bounce, farmer sells into it. Now think about this for a second. The big long in the U.S. grain and oilseed markets is the U.S. and Brazilian farmers. They got grain in the bin, and they got big crops coming. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I thought the markets had bottomed, and maybe they have for a little while, but I'm a little bit nervous. But with the big short that the funds have, it's going to be hard to push it. Corn a lot under the $4, and soybeans under 10. I don't know. Now, keep in mind also here in the U.S., China has virtually no new crop purchases on the books. And that's just a look at some of the fundamental info. As we shift and look at political, wow, who knows? You know, the Democrats last week pulled off a perfectly executed silent coup. They told Joe he had to go. And who they is, well, that's a good question. But Joe was told either he drops his re-election campaign or the Dems would implement the 25th Amendment, which allows for the removal of the president due to incompetency. Well, the reality is he never should have run the first time. But the greed, the power of the deep administrative state is unbelievable, and their need and desire for total control. They'll say or do anything to maintain and expand that power and control. The U.S. is at a turning point. We need the people to turn out to vote and make it clear if they want freedom, free markets, capitalism, and with that comes ups and downs and bumps, or do they want to roll over and embrace the Venezuelan lifestyle of Marxist fascism and total dependence on the government to supply everything? So we either take the bottom out or the top out. But it's going to be a wild time. Lots of things to watch. You can count on me watching the political side, and we'll comment on production side too. So, in the meantime, happy trading.